yeah, endometrial scratching is the kind of irritation of endometrium. So we can perform it either with PIPEL or hysteroscopy is a kind of endometrial scratching too. So, endometrial scratching, it induces the inflammatory reaction, a septic inflammatory reaction in the endometrium, and this reaction is extremely important for activation of implantation genes. So, just recent studies showed that there is no benefit of scratching in the whole population of patients with recurrent implantation failure. But we need to realize that we have very properly select the subgroups of patients who would really benefit from this procedure. And it looks like that it can be considered in group of patients with low activity of immune system in the endometrium. So it looks like that it would be beneficial in patients with low number of NK cells, low activity of NK cells, which depends mainly from so-called KIR receptors, killer immunoglobulin-like receptors. There is a huge variability of those receptors, but genetically we also can find out them, and there are the numbers of them which make the NK cells very weak. So in these types of immunological profile, it can be useful. And also scratching, it looks like to be useful in case of lack of senescent endothelial cells. There is also a subpopulation of stroma cells which are important for the implantation of endometrium. Interestingly, that we need to realize that the scratching have to be performed very properly in the proper phase of menstrual cycle. It was a very nice study published last year by Christopher Blockel and Markens. So they performed the scratching in the beginning of the proliferative phase of the same cycle where the embryo transfer was performed. And they had to stop the study prematurely because they find out that they got a very high level of side effects of miscarriage. So we need to know that, yes, scratching have to be performed a cycle before we make the embryo transfer. And the amount of the procedures also depends from many factors like body mass index, like volume of the uterus. These factors we have still to study well, but it looks like, yes, that it can be helpful, especially in a group of patients with low immune activity in the uterus.